Hey folks, welcome back to the Lone Pine Tarot, or of course, welcome to Lone Pine Tarot for the very first time if you're brand new here. And as I always say, thank you so much for joining me today for our pick a card reading on one of my favorite topics to talk about in tarot, which of course, as you can tell by what you just clicked on, we're talking about past lives today. Now, specifically though, this reading is about what your soul still carries from a past life, plus how it affects you now. So we're going to kind of like glean into maybe some past life trauma or past life lessons that are affecting you currently in your life at this point in order to bring forth something that is helpful, or at least something that kind of helps you understand more about what's going on in this current life. Okay, so without further ado, let us pick our pile leaders to choose our messages with. So calling on Spirit to help us with that. Thank you so much. For our highest, best good, please guide us to the right cards for people to pick their messages with. Thank you. So I'm feeling this one for pile 1. And for pile 2, I say let's choose that one. And last but not least, of course, for our wonderful pile 3, right here. Okay, and thank you for your patience as we drew the cards. Let's unveil them together. So pile 1 over here on the left, your pile leader is Innocence, very cute. Okay. For pile number 2, your leader today is the card of Grace. There we go. And last but not least, for pile number 3 over here on the right, your pile leader today is Change. Okay, so pile number 1 is Innocence, pile number 2 is Grace, and pile number 3 is Change. Although, as I always say, you're welcome to pause on this part of the reading if you need more time to decide. If you're new to pick a card readings and you're not quite sure what to do, I would like to guide us through what I call a meditative moment. So close your eyes, take in a deep, cleansing breath, and as you do, imagine filling light into your lungs. Hold it. And then when you breathe back out again and open your eyes, where are your eyes drawn first? And that is the pile I recommend you go with. But whatever your method, when you are ready, drop down to the description box below or the top pinned comment beneath the video. Find the timestamp for your pile, and I'll see you in our discussion about what your soul carries from a past life and how it affects you now. See you there. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 1. Welcome today to your pick a card reading about what your soul still carries from a past life as well as how it affects you now. So, of course, as you can remember, you were drawn to the very adorable Innocence card for your pile leader. And as we usually do with pile leaders, I'm going to first set this off to the left, and we're going to draw a blend of Oracle and Tarot to start the reading. So first off with the Citadel Oracle, let's draw the cards from that particular deck. We're going to try to kind of glean a little bit more about who you were in this past life, because that does tell us a lot about why it's affecting you now. Trying to unveil more of the story of who you were. Okay, so there is card number 1. Card number 2. Actually, we're going to set these together. Beautiful. So, and then grab the tarot deck. Very funnily, the card just kind of fell out, so I'm going to take that actually. But I am going to shuffle one more. There we go. We'll take those 2. Okay, so let's see more about who you were in this past life, pile 1. Okay, so unveiling the first Citadel Oracle, we have the Aspirant. Element of fire, ambition, diligence, and setbacks. And with the context of the tarot card I drew with it, we have the 4 of Swords. Very interesting, because the 4 of Swords, pile 1, tends to represent someone at rest, like this man laying in the boat. Something that is inactive, and so kind of interesting, like how you have the juxtaposition of a card about being really ambitious and a card about being kind of laid back. a card about letting things rest, okay? So the first thing I want to say is that this past life coming through is a story of somebody who wavered between the extremes of being extremely ambitious to finally taking some rest, or it could have been vice versa. It could have been maybe in the beginning of this particular life, someone, or well, you, I should say, not someone, was more on the side of, I don't want to say lazy, but more on the side of, oh, I'll just go with the flow. And then later on, possibly, that's when you became more ambitious. All right. We'll see what else pops out, though, too, of course, with the other two cards. All right. And then the second Citadel Oracle is the Gambler with the element of Earth, loss, risks, with the tarot card of the Knight of Swords. Okay, interesting. The Knight of Swords represents taking action with the mind or with communication. It can also represent taking action in a very swift way. The Knight of Swords is the fastest of the different knights, okay? Sometimes that can mean maybe going like too fast with things. And with the dichotomy of the Gambler at like next to it with loss and risks, I think I'm really starting to see like a clearer picture here, pile one. And what I'm seeing is that it was more so in the beginning, you were someone who was very ambitious. You were someone who was very go-getter. I need to get this thing done. I have this goal or this dream in life that I need to achieve. Okay. But what happened is that you took some sort of risk. You went a little bit too fast about something. Now, that can be good to be a Knight of Swords, but in this particular situation, because it came out with the Gambler, what I'm seeing is that it led to a risk, and I think you had a loss of some sort. And that loss led to that inactivity of the Four of Swords. And so what does this really mean overall? Is I think the life lesson of this particular life was number one, learning to be more careful when it comes to taking risks. Okay. And number two, to go with the flow of life's setbacks, hence setbacks in the aspirant, right? That did come up as a keyword. And learn to live being happy with less. Okay, so I almost wonder if the very beginning of this past life, you might have been either like richer or you really, really sought after wealth. You really were like, I want to be the best. I want to have the best house. I want to have the best partner. I want to have the best things, right? And it's good to be ambitious, but this life taught you the value of having less, the value of being happy with having less, okay? And that sometimes when, it's almost like the story of Icarus. If you know the myth of Icarus, basically, I think it was him and his father were stuck on I think it was a tower specifically, and they had to get out, but the only way they could get out was with wings. So his father fashioned wings out of feathers and wax. However, because it was built of wax, the father said to Icarus, okay, we can fly out of here, but don't fly too low, because the water will affect the wax and break your wings down. But also don't fly too high, Icarus, because so close to the sun, it'll melt the wax and you'll die. Well, what did Icarus do? He went right up, flew up to the sun, the wax melted, and he died. Okay, so it's almost like, when we talk about flying too close to the sun, that's because of the myth of Icarus, and that's what this past life feels like to me for you, pile one. You were an Icarus figure. However, it didn't end in tragedy necessarily, because I see a contentment here with after this. Like, even though you didn't technically achieve that dream, or maybe you grasped it for just a small amount of time, the downfall, the setback, it might have affected you at first emotionally, especially because when it comes to, it might have been even things that like your parents in that particular life had like drilled into your head, like, you need to be ambitious, you need to have this thing, especially if like they had also come from wealth and status and things like that. But after your soul had kind of worked through that, it came to an understanding, it's okay to have less. It's okay to not be rich. It's okay to not be the president and an astronaut and cure cancer all in one life. Okay, like just it's an idea of contentment. So we'll see what happens when the other cards come out here, pile one. But I almost am getting an intuitive inkling that perhaps either in this life that you're currently living, this affected you in a way where you well, it could be a positive thing where number one, you already kind of know how to be content with less because of this particular life, or you could still be struggling with wanting to be very ambitious, but still kind of learning different aspects of contentment with not necessarily achieving every goal that you set out to do, okay? Going with the flow of life, being less perfectionistic about things, okay? Also dealing with loss in general, especially if in this life you have dealt with like a lot of financial setbacks. That can also be kind of like past life karma imprinting on this life. And, you know, learning to manage with money and manage with taking risks, things like that. Okay. So, let's pull some more cards here for you, pile 1. I want to see... Let's grab your tarot spread. That's what we're going to do next. I want to see what's going on in your life right now that this is affecting specifically, and then we'll also draw some more cards towards the end just to kind of even get more details and gleaning about like the advice from this past life, okay? So, Spirit, for pile 1 with this particular past life, can you tell us how is it affecting them now? Like, what's the situation going on? Thank you. Okay, 4 of Pentacles, reserving our resources. Okay. Very fitting, pile 1. We were just talking about not losing money or having to be careful with money. We also have a King of Pentacles reversed. Okay, so yep, I almost wonder, is the first card, the King of Pentacles reversed, can represent having struggles with money, especially in terms of outward manifestation, since it's a masculine energy card. That to me can mean, you know, perhaps like recently you've been struggling with like you lost a job, you know, or you've had a lot of really expensive bills come up that you've had to really struggle with money for, or it could be that like just in general your whole life so far has been just a big struggle with money. Like maybe you were poor growing up, maybe you're poor now, things like that. And so what that's led to is this whole arc of learning about reserving your resources and being resourceful in general, and also being conservative with what you spend. Because the 4 of Pentacles is the energy of I'm holding my coins in my hands, or this particular deck, it's sunflowers. He's holding them close. He's hugging them. He's like, I'm not letting him go. I'm going to be very, very, very careful. Okay, so let's draw the other 3 cards here. Yeah, so definitely, if I had to summarize so far from what I'm seeing, pile 1, this entire life lesson from this past life is affecting you now in terms of money or career or resources, things like that. Let's grab the 3rd card. We have... Okay. If I wasn't already dead on before, now we got the 5 of Pentacles as the heart of the matter. The 5 of Pentacles means poverty or hardship. Literally, it's that card in the entire tarot deck. So, yes. I think I'm already seeing a picture forming here. They want to help you, give you advice, either being more content with what you have, like you did with this particular past life, or advice on how to overcome the financial hardship that's been going on, okay? Or the general, like, maybe career hardship could also be a way that this manifests. Yes, okay, now we have the Emperor, and the Emperor is all about power on authority and control, taking control over your life more, okay? Especially as the near future position card, having more authority over your resources and the things around you. I also we'll see what oracle cards pop out pile 1, but an Emperor to me in this situation might also mean you would do really well with being self-employed, because an Emperor has their own authority and their own power. So I don't know if you've been having like recently like an idea for a business, small business of some sort, or like working independently as a contractor, in which case that's a really good sign that that would be a great ticket out of the issues that you've been having with money and resources and stuff. It's almost kind of a reflection of this past life where it's like that high ambition. Okay, hence the aspirant. It's like you returning to that energy. All right, and let's grab the final card. And the Empress reversed. Very funny. We have the Emperor, which is the fatherhood card, and then we have the Empress, which is the motherhood card, or mother card, reversed, okay? That can also be seen as an advice card. The Empress reversed as advice generally tends to mean that you need to be more creative about things. You need to think more outside of the box, okay? Also, you need to give more nurturing to your ideas, to the things that you've been thinking of. So once again, especially if you've been thinking of going it solo, having a business of some sort, pile 1, this is this past life telling you, yes, that would be a great way not only to help yourself out of what's going on right now, but also to resolve a lot of the unresolved karma from this past life. Okay, I almost want to say, and this is just an intuitive thing that's coming forward, I'm not necessarily seeing it from the cards, but I want to say I'm getting a hint that part of the healing from this past life karma after the loss you had is after you go on this journey of self-employment or whatever your ideas are right now in terms of your career or like your finances. When you indulge in those ideas, it will wend your way towards financial success that you didn't have. It's almost like a reflection mirror of this past life. You started with a lot, or you started going after a lot, you lost, you had to make do with what you had and find contentment. Well, that's great because that's a good life lesson to learn, to be content with what you have. Now it's the opposite, where it's like, you had this trajectory in the past life of up at the top, down at the bottom, and then this life, it's down at the bottom and now back to the top, because the reason why is in this past life you learned money isn't everything. Money doesn't buy happiness, okay? Lessons like that. And now in this life, you're prepared to handle having greater finances, okay? And that's why I'm saying, I think the trajectory of this particular life and why this past life is coming out is because they're saying you're going to have more control and authority over these financial problems. You might not feel like it right now, pile 1, because I am saying, King of Pentacles reversed, 4 of Pentacles upright, 5 of Pentacles upright. That talks about having some money issues right now. But if you were to indulge in your ideas and take more authority and self-control, say like being self-employed, that will wend your way towards financial success that you lost in this past life that now you can handle on a spiritual level because of the lesson you learned back then. Okay. Really, really cool past life here. And same thing too with, I didn't even talk about your pile leader yet, with Innocence. The way I'm seeing that kind of wend into what's going on here is Innocence, we think of like, what's the best way to put it? Like, okay, say you gave $1 million to a child versus giving $1 million to an adult. Who do you think would want to spend their money more innocently? Or who do you think would have more pure-hearted ideas of what to do with the money? Probably a child, right? Although you could say, well, the kid might be selfish. They might just buy a lot of candy and toys, right? But that's what I'm seeing, the way how this fits into your story now, is that it's like you have that innocence of soul now because past life you dealt with that, being content with what you have, that now there's a greater purity to your soul in handling money, because that's another thing, pile 1, and we all know this. Power and money corrupt people, okay? Especially souls that have not dealt with those types of lessons in past lives like you have, but because you have dealt with it, it's like Spirit saying you're going to not be liable to that corruption, and that's why you are ready to accept that abundance now, okay? So what I'm seeing is the path forward is, as long as you embody more traits regarding self-empowerment, authority, and control over your own life, like the Emperor says, and as long as you indulge in your creative ideas and give them merit, give them nurturing, like the Empress reversed is a piece of advice card, that will help you get towards greater financial success or career success and away from the poverty or the lack that you've been dealing with so far, okay? Really what this reading is it's an answer to why you struggled with money and the pathway out of it because of this past life. Okay, let's, of course, though, grab your other cards. We do have Elle Qui here, and then I also have the Soul Mirror Oracle I wanted to use today. Okay, anything else you want to say, Spirit? Thank you. In terms of advice, she who is present, Taraz, now, awareness, and acceptance. Okay, so that just is another reflection of the past life lesson that we were talking about, of the acceptance of now and not being caught up in what we've lost or what we had. It's the understanding of this is my present, this is the tools I have in my hands right now, instead of worrying about what did I lose. That's exactly the lesson that your past life talked about, remember? And so that would also be a good idea to take into account now in terms of advice for going forward towards greater abundance and financial success. Remember from this past life, being content with what you have, okay? Which is easier said than done, especially, you know, if you are dealing with a lot of like money, poverty related issues. And of course, I don't want to minimize those problems because that adds a lot of stress to someone's life. Like I 100% understand, been there myself, right? But at the same time, pile 1, it's almost like, what do they call that? A something mindset. Oh, it's slipping my mind right now. I apologize, pile 1. It's like what do they call that? It'll come to me later. Let me draw your other cards as I'm trying to remember, but it's like a lack mindset or like a, oh man, for some reason it's just eluding me. It's eluding my grasp, but it's like basically, though, to summarize, even though I don't remember the term, it's like a mindset of thinking that, I only deserve so little because I've only ever had so little. And so if you change that mindset to, I deserve everything that I am working hard for, it's like it almost invites more of that in. And look at that potential, confined versus infinite. And that is just another reflection, pile 1, of the potential that you have that you're not tapping in that would help you out of these financial difficulties or out of these like hardships. You have a lot of potential. And that's another thing that the Emperor means, pile 1. You know, an emperor is no slacker. An emperor is not crappy at their job or crappy at achieving things. Okay, an emperor is a leader. An emperor they have authority. They have skill, things like that. And so there's potential in you that you're not taking advantage of. And I almost wonder if maybe that's why you have been, especially if you've been having financial hardships so far in life, pile 1, why on a soul level that, you know, the abundance has been kind of kept from you is because it's almost like it's being held behind a door, and the key to open it is to believe in yourself and your own potential and be brave enough to set out on your own and follow the things that you think that you would be good at instead of shying away from it. So I think if there's any piece of advice you walk away from this reading from, it's to remember the boldness of this past life that you had in trying to go after your dreams, even though it didn't work out, it still turned out fine. Okay? You still will have everything that you need. Okay? Just like in that life. Had a lot, lost it, you were okay with it. 4 of Swords, right? Being at rest, I'm okay. But at the same time, it's like I don't know what, pile 1, if maybe you just don't believe you deserve more. That's kind of like what I was saying before. Is that poverty mindset? I can't remember. Feel free to correct me down in the comments below if that's incorrect with calling it poverty mindset, but you need to believe that you deserve more, pile 1. And that is the key that will get you into getting more. Okay? And 2, with Taraz here, now and awareness and acceptance as her keywords, it's like, that's another part of acceptance, is accepting who you are. Accepting you do have skills that would be of value to other people, or crafts that would be of value to other people. Whatever it is that you might turn into, say, a small business, or, I mean, it's not even like I'm saying, like, if you do have a main job right now, I'm not even saying, like, quit your job right now. Try just dabbling in it on the side. Try, like, a really small part-time business, or small part-time independent contracting, okay? But whatever you do, don't let your potential and your skills go to waste, okay? Because I see a lot of blessings pouring in after you take that step to believe in yourself, okay? Just like you did in this past life. All right, this past life was priming you for this one. It was priming you for understanding that money doesn't mean everything, because in this life, you're meant to have more. But now you have the soul purity and lesson to handle having more without it corrupting you, as I said before. It's just that now you need to open that door. You need to take that key of, I believe in myself, turn it, open the door, and there's that success waiting for you. Okay, so step into your own authority, nurture your ideas, believe in yourself, like I said, I kind of said it ad nauseum, I apologize, but you can never repeat believe in yourself to anybody on this entire earth too much, so. And believe in your potential. Don't let it go to waste. And that is your ticket to where you're wanting to go, I think. Okay. So that was your past life reading for today, my wonderful pile number 1. I hope you liked it. I hope it resonated. If so, please like the video itself. Please comment down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. That just helps me out a little bit, which helps me provide more readings for you and others in the future. And as I always say, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, Pile 1. Hello there, Pile number 2. Welcome today to your Pick a Card reading about what your soul carries from a past life and how it affects you now. And of course, as you can recall, you were drawn to the very beautiful card of Grace for your Pile leader today. So, as we always do with Pile leaders, we'll set her off to the left, and we're going to begin with actually a blend of Oracle and Tarot today. So, right off the bat, what I want to do is learn more about this past life specifically that Spirit wants to bring up. We're going to kind of learn, like, what was the main lesson and kind of situation going on from that past life that's affecting you now to get more context for the advice it wants to impart to you. So let's see what pops out. Okay, interesting. You know, that card has been popping out a lot lately. I had not only in the past video I did, but also Pile number 1 got this card. So we have the Gambler with loss and risks with the element of earth. Okay. And then the second card, I'm feeling drawn to that one. And then we're also going to draw 2 tarot cards. Okay. See if we can glean more about who you were. Excuse me. Okay, thanks for your patience as I shuffled. So the second Citadel Oracle card was the Enchanter, element of air, deception and trickery. Okay, so we've got a Gambler with loss and risks and the Enchanter with deception and trickery. Also, interestingly, there are 2 opposite elements. One is earth, one is air. And then the first tarot card goes with the Gambler. We have the Page of Cups reversed, which tends to represent something that is either, well, sometimes it represents a surprise upright, so sometimes I read it reversed as something that's not a surprise. So actually, Pile 2, maybe you already have kind of delved into past lives, and if so, you probably maybe already kind of know about this one. But reading the Page of Cups reversed the normal way is especially for a past life reading, it can mean inability to explore our emotions. Someone that might be, for lack of a better term, I want to say maybe emotionally constipated. Maybe you didn't deal with emotions very well in this particular life. Things like that. And then for the Enchanter, the tarot card with that one was the Sun reversed. Okay. Sun reversed can mean either a lack of happiness or a lack of truth, as light represents truth, so reversed, lack of truth. I want to say right off the bat, Pile 2, this wasn't the most morally great life, and I don't say that to be like in any way reflect on your current life. And all of us have had past lives where we weren't like the most awesome people. Okay, that's just very normal. That's just the human condition. There are lessons in every kind of life that we need to learn as a soul. But this particular life, because you have like a Gambler with the some issues with, you know, emotional vulnerability, or like the phrase I used was emotional constipation, and then also deception and trickery with also the Sun reversed, as in lack of truth. I almost wonder if in this past life you had been some sort of like criminal, or some sort of like in a criminal organization. For some reason, I don't want to say mafia necessarily, but it's something that is bringing that intuitive hint to my mind. Okay, so organized crime, it could have been like a thieving group. Interestingly enough, in terms of timing, I want to say for most of you, it seems like either like medieval or Renaissance. Okay. So a little bit further back of a past life. And the lesson you learned in this life was a lot of things regarding living life on the dark side, living life, doing things that weren't necessarily the most honest, okay? I'm not necessarily seeing, like, what it was that maybe you did that wasn't so great. I don't see that you hurt people. Especially, like, because I mentioned mafia before. I don't want to make you think that you were, like, a murderer or anything. I'm not getting, like, those vibes at all, pile 2. But at the same time, it seems like it might have been out of desperation to survive, or it was, like, you could have also been born into it, so it was, like, all that you knew. And so it's, like, some sort of darker activity, like, was your main role in this life. I don't know if you were, like, a thief, or I want to say, like a smuggler of some sort. That can also be one way that this manifested. And I hope that no one runs away from this reading, but I want to say I think that you were pretty good at it, too, in this past life. Okay, especially with the card Grace. It's like you were very graceful with it. I almost wonder, too, for some of you, I'm getting a hint that you could have even been, like, a spy. Okay, you might have done some espionage. So that's another thing, is, like, even, like, being a spy or doing espionage, it doesn't necessarily mean, like, it's not, like, a completely 100% morally bad thing. I almost think there was some reason you were drawn to this particular life, be it, you know, thievery, be it, you know, smuggling, be it, say, like, being a spy, or, like, being into espionage. You were very good about hiding who you were. Maybe that's where the Page of Cups reversed comes about. You were really good about stifling emotions, good about being stoic, good about, you know, pretending that you weren't feeling certain things when you were, because there was an element of trickery involved. Like, the Enchanter card talks about deception, just like a spy would deceive people, right? In terms of lessons, though, they're not really saying much about lessons. Let me grab another tarot card, even though I didn't do this for pile 1, but you specifically, I want to. What was the main lesson of this life that's affecting you now? Because they more so focused on who you were with those 4 cards. Okay, Spirit, what was the main lesson that you want them to know from this past life? The High Priestess reversed, listening more to your intuition. You know, I almost wonder if in this past life, I mean, this is kind of, well, like a dumb moment, pile 2, but you got wrapped in with some bad people, and it might have been what did you in that particular life. And so part of the lesson extending to this life is learning who to trust and who not to trust when it comes to your gut and your intuition, because that's what the High Priestess reverse represents, is needing to learn a lesson regarding listening to your gut. Okay, so I don't know if in this particular life that you're living right now, you've struggled a lot with, like, trusting people and then they stabbed you in the back, which, of course, that's not your fault, pile 2. It's just that maybe later you realized, oh, there were signs I saw, or I dismissed, or I discounted them, and had I listened to my intuition, then I wouldn't have gotten screwed over, things like that. There's a lot about this past life that wants to imbue you with that same lesson of learning who you should trust or who you should not trust. Okay. Very interesting. Let's grab your tarot spread, because that'll even tell us a bit more about what's going on in your life right now, as the reason is why this past life is coming up. What's occurring that this is why Spirit wants to talk to you about what happened in this life, okay? Very interesting. If you were a spy, pile 2, I wonder what country you were a spy for. For some reason, the word France is coming up. Like a French spy, perhaps? Let's grab. So the first card is the Ace of Swords reversed. Okay, lacking direction or lacking an idea, wanting to come up with an idea for something. Or it could also be lacking a piece of knowledge. Interesting. We'll see what else pops out. Number 2, we have the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so good fortune, a good turn of luck. Let's keep listening to the story. We've got the Page of Swords. Okay. Well, now we've got another page, but this time it's upright. This time it's being clever. A Page of Swords is someone that is not easily fooled. Okay, so I think, pile 2, Well, let's draw the rest of your cards, but I'm getting an intuitive hit here. Three of Wands reversed. Okay, having some issues going forward with our plans, some obstacles in our way. And then last but not least, we have the King of Cups. Interesting pile too, because you had that Page of Cups reversed earlier. You know, the emotional constipation card, or having to hide your emotions a lot. That's the exact opposite of a King of Cups. A King of Cups is very secure in their emotions, and just like he's playing this conch shell, excuse me, he's blasting them out to the world. So what's going on here, pile 2? The reason why this is coming up is because currently in your life, you're going through some sort of situation where you're really having to take advantage of your sharp intelligence and wit and cleverness that I think was really heavily developed in this past life we talked about, with you being either like a smuggler, spy, etc., thief, something like that. I don't know if maybe someone has like tried to deceive you recently, or it's like you were lacking a piece of information that would have led you to like avoiding a certain like being screwed over or something. But I think you're at the realization now of what happened, hence why the Page of Swords is your current position card, or the heart of the matter, okay? It's like the Ace of Swords reversed is, you know, I lack a piece of info, or I lack an idea that would have helped me in terms of guiding me to fortune or good luck, hence the Wheel of Fortune right after it. So, oops, that happened, and then, but now you're like, okay, well, now I know better, because in the heart of the matter, current energy card, the Page of Swords, I'm better for it now in terms of I know kind of what to look out for. But I think part of it is maybe you lack some trust in yourself still, because you being screwed over before has made you think, okay, well, how can I trust my gut intuition when it comes to, say, not being screwed over in terms of relationships? Like, I don't know, maybe someone cheated on you and you're like, oh God, I should have seen the signs earlier, or I should have left them earlier and I didn't, you know, that kind of shame, okay? Or it could also be something that manifests in terms of maybe you got screwed over in a job that you're working, okay? Maybe you knew that they weren't paying you enough, or that you were worth more, but at the same time you gave them the benefit of the doubt, or maybe they promised you a promotion and they didn't give it to you, and so you feel like, oh man, I should have just known because the signs were there. It's like a lack of trust in your own intuition, hence like the High Priestess here, and that is an imprint from this past life because you trusted the wrong people and it ended in your death, is what I'm hearing, okay? Or ended very, very badly, at least, if not death, right? And so that's what this past life is saying, is trust your gut intuition now. Believe in your gut intuition now. Because that led to pain in the past. And that is what will guide you through the obstacles that you're having issues with towards greater emotional fulfillment and happiness, in terms of especially trust in self, okay? Especially because the next card is the Three of Wands reversed, pile 2. That means there's some obstacles in terms of plans. I mean, a Three of Wands person, they're like, hey, I've got these plans. I want to go forward. I know the river. I know the way I want to go down it. I know what goal I'm getting to, or what shore appears at the end. However, reversed, it's, something's blocking me, okay? And that's what this particular reading is wanting to help you with. What Spirit wants to help you with is they want you to overcome these blockages and obstacles so you can move down that path towards what you're trying to attain. What is it that you want, okay? And especially, too, with the King of Cups as the outcome, or the final card, it's, you know, like I said, bringing you to a place of greater emotional fulfillment, being secure in your emotions. Also, King of Cups, another thing, pile 2, they trust their heart. The King of Cups, the one thing that guides them most is their heart, okay? So that's another thing that's a piece of advice from this past life, is you need to trust your heart more, okay? Not in terms of, you know, the heart being, you know, Twitter-pated with this person that maybe screwed you over, or Twitter-pated with this idea at a job that screwed you over, things like that, but the true deep gut intuition, heart deep down, that knows you deserve better, that knows this is what I need to make sure that my emotions and my heart is protected, or are protected, I should say, plural, right? And so one of the silver linings of this past life is that you've already gone through the absolute worst that can happen when you don't trust your gut in terms of who to trust. That's already imprinted on your soul. You already learned the very difficult version of this lesson in that life because it cost you so much. However, you're still going through kind of an echo of it right now, okay? So if you have been finding that you have been, like there's been blockages or obstacles on the path towards what you want, pile 2, trust your intuition, and that is the key that will open that door. What does your gut say about how do I get past this obstacle? Okay. What does your gut say about the people around you, too? That's another lesson here coming through. Especially if maybe one of your goals is trying to read the intentions of somebody, like this happened in that past life that went wrong. What does your intuition say? It'll never, ever lead you wrong. Okay, we have those instincts and that spiritual connection for a reason, and it's always there available for you if you just open your ear to it. Okay, even just like the King of Cups here. Look at him blasting his conch. That's like the heart saying, hey, I got something to say. Don't put me away. Okay, listen to me. Things like that. So we also have some other oracle cards to get to. And these will also be kind of advice cards as well in terms of what's going on here, what this past life wants to say to you. We have she who is wild, sauvage, untamed, wild, and mysterious. So I'm hearing intuitively, pile 2. What this means is when it comes to, actually it's interesting. I just noticed this. They're both kind of dancing. Both the dancer in the grace card that you chose as your pile leader over here on the left, and the woman in the sauvage card here. They're dancing, and literally it's almost kind of in the opposite way. Even like their opposite hands. One is in the air, one is down. You see that? I don't know if you can catch that on camera. What I see with that, we'll talk about why. I'm kind of getting on 2 different points here. Intuitive things are just coming in like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. What I'm seeing with that, because of that reflection of the different dancers, what you failed in this past life, in terms of trusting your gut or not trusting it enough and it got you in troubled waters, you are destined to rewrite that past karma in this life. It's almost like a trajectory, and pile 1 was very similar too, of starting at the top, boom, down at the bottom. And then this life is going from that bottom, going back to the top, because in terms of that life lesson, this is the life you're meant to resolve that by trusting your gut intuition. Okay, now the second point, okay, with everything that was coming through intuitively. Sauvage is someone who is dancing through the wild and the mysterious, okay? Maybe in this life you struggle with, being really uncomfortable when you don't know things, being really uncomfortable when you don't 100% know people's intentions, which is natural, pile 2, but I think you specifically, because of this past life, you might have that unresolved past life trauma of especially being uncomfortable with the unknown. You might be the type of person who is very focused on, okay, I need to absolutely plot out everything with this person or with this particular goal I have in mind. It might be like you kind of stifle going with the flow because the unknown and the mysterious makes you so nervous because of this past life trauma, okay? Because that is what happened in that past life. There was something unknown, you didn't trust your gut, got you in trouble. However, this life, what your past life's saying, what spirit is saying is you're going to inevitably come across the unknown. You're going to inevitably come across people you don't know the intentions of, and that's where that intuition comes in again. The best guiding star through the shadows of the unknown is following your intuition, and that's the only North Star you need to follow when that comes in. Having hope and faith, okay? In what does my heart say is best for me? What does my gut say is the best way through the mists of confusion and uncertainty, okay? Because those times are inevitable, and the only thing you can rely on at that point is your intuition, okay? Things like that. Let's grab your Soul Mirror Oracle as the final card here today, pile 2. This is a very, very interesting past life. I almost wonder, especially for those of you who were a spy in this past life, you might have been posing as someone that was like a dancer or someone in the arts of some sort, like an entertainer at court, something like that. Of course, depending on the country you were in, although I did see for some of you, France was a particular phrase that came through. Support. Discouraged versus encouraged. Okay. This tells me, pile 2, I almost wonder too if you have troubles letting people in. Like that emotional constipation we talked about. I'm sorry I keep using that phrase, but that's just the phrase that works best. You have problems trusting people, I think, because of this past life trauma and stuff that's happened in your current life. If you tend to be kind of isolated, or if you tend to be kind of, you have issues trusting people because of everything that's been going on, this card is an encouragement towards don't push away your support network, okay? Don't push away the chance for you to meet more people that actually do care and actually do have your best intentions at heart. I know it's difficult, pile 2. I 100% get it myself. I mean, I think everybody, if you were to everyone were to weigh down in the comments down below right now and say, you know, whether or not that they've trusted someone and regretted it and it helped or created issues for them in the future of trusting people again. I guarantee every single person will be like, yep. Everybody's gone through it, so I 100% get it, pile 2. But at the same time, you lose out on the chance of positive connections that can support you when bad things happen if you push away all of it just because you fear the 1% of the bad that might happen. Okay, so please lean more into trusting others, just like the King of Cups. He's emotionally vulnerable. He's emotionally trusting. Okay? Please lean into supporting your support network more, into finding kindred spirits, okay? I guarantee you there's a soul tribe out there for you, even if you don't have one right now, okay? Even if you feel isolated. That will also help heal this past life trauma, because if in this life you find more people that you realize you could trust with your life, that will make your soul's wound of having your life been a cost heal. Okay? There are good people out there. There are, you know, no matter what you've been struggling through, let's just say maybe it was a really bad past relationship and you're having trouble opening up to new relationships, which, you know, also a very common thing, pile 2, because you're afraid, well, what if the same crappy thing happens again? Okay? Yes, the same crappy thing can happen again, but at the same time, something really awesome could happen. You could find the love of your life. Same thing with a career. You could find the job of your dreams, the career of your dreams. You're always going to have unknowns in life, pile 2, and the best thing you can do is to trust your gut when the unknown inevitably comes along. Okay, that's all you can do. It's all any of us can do. All right? And you're intelligent. You got a Page of Swords. You need to trust in your intelligence. You need to trust in your sharpness. And also, too, pile 2, I think because of this past life, you just have, just in general, like a really, really good intuition, too. So on top of that, it would be a bad idea for you not to trust your gut, because you have, I think, a better intuition than even most people, better instinct, okay? Because in that life, you really had to pay attention to it. All right? Things like that. So if there's anything you walk away from this reading from, it's trust in yourself. Okay? Be open to letting people in again. And know that you have the power to walk through the unknown. You don't have to fear the unknown so much. So that's your past life reading today, pile number 2. I hope you liked it. I hope it was helpful. I hope it resonated. And if so, please like the video itself. Please comment down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet. As I always say, it's just a little button click away for you that helps me immeasurably to provide more readings for both you and others in the future. And as I always say, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, pile 2. Hello there, pile number 3. Welcome today to your pick a card reading about what your soul still carries from the past life and how it affects you now. And of course, as you can recall, you were drawn to the very beautiful card of change. Gorgeous. So let us draw your pile leader over here to the left to begin. And we're actually going to start with a combination of Oracle and Tarot cards. And what we're going to do, pile 3, is we're going to glean more about this particular past life that's coming through right now, because that will give us more context that will help us understand what advice is coming from this past life forward to you. All right, Spirit, please tell us more about this past life. Thank you. For pile 3. And then we're also going to draw 2 tarot cards. Okay, pile 3, 1 and 2. Thank you for your patience as we drew the cards. And let us unveil what this past life was all about. The Acolyte, the element of air with new projects and learning. With the tarot card, the Page of Swords reversed. Very interesting, pile 3, because actually these are almost different opposites. The Acolyte is someone who, of course represents like a student type energy, someone that's learning, taking on new things. The Page of Swords reversed is literally someone who is reluctant to do so, okay? Because usually upright, a Page of Swords would be someone who is, say, going to university, or someone who's taking a class, someone who's trying to explore intelligence and learning, as the Page of Swords is a card in the, sword suit, right? Which means air in tarot. Intelligence, learning, communication, things like that. So, I'm curious to see where this is going. Let's grab your other 2 cards here. We have another Citadel Oracle as well as your tarot. We have the Musician, the element of water, inspiration and gratitude, with the context of the star, having hope or faith. All right, now it's very clear, pile 3. What happened in this past life is you were someone that struggled with being tugged in 2 different directions in terms of your passions or what you wanted to do with your life. This is a very classical example that, we've all either struggled with ourselves in our current life, or we've heard about other people struggling with, between going the route of, higher education, or like the traditional path in life, quote unquote, versus something more like music, or something more that is creative, okay? It's almost like, I want to say, this past life coming through is I think your parents really pushed you towards a certain direction. They really pushed you towards, okay, you need to be educated like I am, or you need to go into the certain career field like I did. And you struggled with it because you have the Page of Swords reversed. That's why they were opposites. It's like the student, but, I don't want to be the student. I don't want to do that, okay? So instead, you took the path, or at least really wanted to, towards more of a creative passion of yours. And the main lesson in this life was having hope or faith in that, even though it wasn't the path that other people wanted for you. Even if it wasn't the path that society at the time told you to take, okay? So we'll see more with the other cards if that did happen. Because for some of you, I'm kind of hearing it's half and half. Half of you, it was more, you stayed with what you were told to do, and it made you absolutely miserable. And like half of you, I think potentially did go along with it towards your passions. However, it created like maybe family conflicts because you didn't go along with what you were, told to do. Okay. Interesting. And then I do want to draw just one more tarot card to see what was a specific lesson from this life that is coming forward now that's really important to your soul at this point. Because that might also tell us with more clarity about like what kind of pool you fit in. Because right now I'm seeing 50-50, but I could be wrong. Okay. What's the lesson, Spirit? We'll see. If the 3 of Wands comes out, I'm going to kind of know. Oh, the 2 of Swords reversed. The inability to make decisions. Being stuck between 2 choices. Okay. That's a little bit less clarity on that part than I was expecting. But what it is saying, pile 3, is it's being brought up to you because right now in life you're struggling and making a decision of some sort. I don't know if maybe some of you are struggling on making a really big life choice, or you're struggling when it comes to maybe changing careers or starting a certain career, maybe deciding a big life choice like, oh, do I want to start a family? Do I want to move to this place? It's something big like that. And that's why this past life is coming forward now, because in this life, you also struggled with really big life decisions, such as, do I follow what I'm told, what society says is the successful path to choose, the guaranteed path of success, or do I go with what my heart tells me and drive myself forward on the fuel of hope and faith and that I'm doing the right thing? That's it. You're going through a life choice. Okay. So let us grab your main tarot spread here, because this will tell us more about what's going on in your life right now that this lesson is reaching out to. Okay, so let's grab those cards. Spirit, same thing, 5 cards, please, for, excuse me, pile 3. Change. You know, I almost wonder if some of you had already kind of gone on one path and now you're regretting it and you're like, I don't know, I might want to change back to what the other path was, because you were drawn to your pile leader as change, right? Like, it didn't turn out the way you thought, but at the same time, it's like people are telling you to stay on the same path, even though you're like, I don't know, I might want to go more towards this other one. 2, 3, 4, and 5. What's this big life decision, pile 3? What's going on? Okay. The 5 of Wands, Battle of Egos. Yeah, okay. So pile 3, what this tells me is, at least the inciting incident I like to call the first card of my spread that I like to use. A lot of what's going on right now in your life that this life lesson is, you know, or past life is reaching forward to help you with, is regarding where you're having conflicts of ego. Not necessarily in the way like, you know, oh, you're being egotistical, but where egos are clashing. That's what the 5 of Wands means. Egos are clashing. It's like 5 different people fighting with fire. Well, I want this. Well, I want this. Well, I think you should do this. Well, I think you should do this. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. Okay, that's another way to put that, as a 5 of Wands. Too many cooks in the kitchen is a great phrase to use with the 5 of Wands. It's not necessarily harsh conflict like the 5 of Swords, but there are some egos flaring a bit. And then we have Temperance, which is moderation and balance, okay? Just like we have night and day, we have sunshine and rain, we have dark and light. All right, balance and moderation in things. It might also represent that you're kind of caught between 2 different things, like we said with the 2 of Swords reversed being an inability to make a choice. Okay, stuck between 2 different worlds. And we have the Empress reversed as the heart of the matter, meaning you need to nurture something more, or you're figuring out if you should nurture something more. Maybe that's part of like the path you're considering changing to. Also, it is the motherhood card. In reverse, it needs like needing to mother something more, needing more feminine energy with something. Okay. And we've got the 10 of Pentacles, legacy and family. Okay, so family might be another part of what's going on in your life right now, pile 3, just like it was back then. Like I said, I got an intuitive feeling that maybe it was family that was kind of pressuring you to take a certain path in that past life. Okay. And then last but not least, we've got the World reversed, meaning something is not closed. Something does not have closure or finality to it. It's not the end of the chapter. Okay. So pile 3, what I'm seeing here, we talked about the past life being, you know, society told you one thing, be a student. But you thought, I want to be a musician or someone creative, and I had to have a hope or faith in that. But 2 of Swords reversed, there was some sort of lesson that you learned in, not going fully with one or the other, or the consequences of making one choice over the other, all right? And I think what that has stretched forward to you with is that maybe right now in this particular life, you've always kind of struggled with making decisions. Maybe you're kind of, I don't want to say like wishy-washy, pile 3, that's not necessarily the exact phrase I want to use, but it's almost like making decisions that are that big terrifies you, which, I mean, it does a lot of people, so you're not alone, and it's not like, you know, something that's like 100% like uniquely like shame on you or anything. That Spirit's not saying that, pile 3, but at the same time, it's like sometimes in the past, not making a decision has maybe shot you in the foot, or not making it fast enough. Being indecisive is a really good word. That's what I want to use instead of wishy-washy. Indecisive, okay? And so that past life energy has imprinted on this life with that same indecision, okay? Because I think in that life, you might have gone either with, the path that really made you unhappy, but it was what you thought you were supposed to do or what you were told to do. Or for some of you, it was you went with a path that did make you happy, but there were such great consequences for it. You always look back and wondered, well, what would have happened had I gone with the other choice? Okay. So it's always the what ifs that pause you and paralyze you. Okay. And I think that's what's going on right now too, in this particular life that you're living now. I think part of it is maybe there are some family things going on. Ten of Pentacles represents inheritance, represents legacy. You know, we have like a grandfather here, we have his kids here, his kid and their spouse, and then we've got the grandchildren here. Okay, so it's like generational things. I almost wonder if there's something that your family has done for a very long time, or like maybe it's like a business passed down or something like that, and maybe there's pressure on you to take it over versus going on your own path. Things like that. Same thing too with the Five of Wands is, you know, like too many cooks in the kitchen, there's too many egos. And it's like you're trying to weigh them. You're trying to balance things with temperance. You're trying to find moderation, like, well, what is the good path? Or maybe it's even you're trying to find a path that lets you do both. Because that's another thing with temperance is about kind of being in two worlds, okay? Trying to find the middle way rather than going completely off in just one direction and completely ignoring the other. Very interestingly, though, that we have the world reversed, which is mean it's not over. Oh, that's what it means, pile 3. Pile 3, I want to ask you, if there's any idea that you had recently that would help you blend the two worlds of the decision that you're trying to face. Because the Empress reversed means that you have an idea that you're not really nurturing enough, especially as the heart of the matter I like to call the central card. I think there almost is a middle path that you're not considering or you threw out because you thought, well, somebody wants me to do this thing and I want to do this thing and I either have to go all the way in on that side or I have to go all the way in on that side. Okay. Or that versus this. Because the world reverse is like, it's not over. It's like, it's not, just because you pick one path doesn't mean that something is completely closed on a chapter. Or like the door is not closed to you to try the other thing as well. There has to be some sort of compromise here. And what I'm saying, pile 3, is that, I mean, in terms of if you're looking for advice with making this decision, try to find a middle path. Okay. Also, interestingly, with your change card, the pile leader you were drawn to, it's a very autumnal scene. She literally is standing beneath an autumn tree. Okay, it's also a scene that is between day and night. You can see it's like starry up here, but it's also day down here, like it's either dawning or it's dusk. Just like your temperance card about day versus night. You have a lot of those opposite dichotomies, and autumn itself too is a transitional season, right? Between the extreme of warm, lush summer and more stark, harsh, cold winter. Okay. I'm hearing resoundingly, because of all this imagery, you can choose a middle path that makes everybody happy, okay? But on top of that too, pile 3, in the end, remembering this past life, what makes you the most happy, okay? Because going with what makes you the most happy will help resolve some of the traumas of this past life, especially if it was a situation where, say, you went with the decision you didn't want to make because family pressured you, then in that case, it would be a good idea in this life to go with, well, what does my heart say? Okay. You know what? I just realized this too. I'm sorry, pile 3. Even this almost looks like it's a transitional stage too with the star. It almost looks like either dusk or morning. I want to say it's like dusk, like the sun is setting and the stars coming out. There is a middle path. You have to find the middle path, pile 3. And that's your answer forward, okay? Choosing one doesn't mean you have to completely ignore the other. You can make other people happy and make yourself happy at the same time. The middle path, moderation, balance with the temperance card. Just really cool synchronicities in this particular reading, pile 3. Oh god, even the Empress is kind of like a dawn too. Everything is so transitional. It's like, a transitional stage, transitional taking the middle road between light and dark versus, or, you know, like day and night, or just symbolisms like that make me think that the best way to walk is the path of twilight between for you. Okay. Let's grab your other cards, but I think for you, pile 3, I might even draw some more tarot, but let's draw the oracle cards that might give us some more advice in terms of this. It's like your indecision is because you think you have to go 100% in one way and ignore the other, but what would solve it is compromising between the two. We have Eterna, she who becomes, metamorphosis, transcend, and journey. Once again, we have a transitional stage type imagery or symbolism. You know, just like change kind of means the same thing as metamorphosis. She who becomes, becoming something else. The element and the power of change. Sorry, I'm just looking at this a bit closer off camera, pile 3. And once again, it's like dark into light. There's so many imagery, like, or so many different imageries like that in your reading, okay? So in terms of advice from that card, pile 3, I want to say, if you were considering going just with one decision over the other, consider changing to blend the two into one. Okay. Or same thing too, like I said earlier, some of you might have made the choice already and you're kind of regretting it. There's nothing saying, especially with the world reversed, that completely is closed off to you now. You can still pursue the other path in some way or pursue both at the same time, okay? I mean, literally you have so many cards of people in 2 different worlds. Of trying 2 different things. Like, she's dark into light. She's in the season of autumn. Your Temperance card is dark and light. Empress is dawn, which is between 2 different worlds, between night and day, okay? Very, very cool imagery. Okay, and let's grab your Soul Mirror Oracle. I'm going to laugh if it just kind of says the same thing. I always feel bad when a lot of the cards come out repeated because I don't want to be like too repetitive in a reading, but you know what? If that's the way Spirit wants it to come out, that's the way it comes out. But in which case, it's just very heavily emphasized. All right, Spirit, I need your advice. Growth, dying versus evolving. What an interesting card with the hands. It's like there's one hand coming out of her back and the other hand is holding her back. Or the other hand back, I should say. That is very fascinating imagery there, pile 3. Sorry, I'm just trying to get an intuitive message out of this. And once again, it's like she's halfway between water, halfway between air. She's got one hand going forward, one hand pulling it back. It's like... Dying versus evolving. You know what I'm hearing, pile 3? Sorry, I was silent for a moment there. Your best way forward is to choose the path that allows you the best amount of growth, even if it seems difficult, especially if you are considering and there is a possible way to try both at the same time and not just picking one over the other. You might think that it is difficult, and you might not be wrong, right, to try both things at once. Like, say, just as an example, it might not apply to every single one of you, but say the example is you want to go to university to get a degree in one thing, however, at the same time you want to start a small business for something else. Okay. You might think, well, I need to do one or the other. Okay, because I either have people pressuring me to try the other one that's saying, well, this is a good idea versus this is not, or maybe you think I won't have enough time for both. But even though it looks like a tall mountain to climb, they're saying try both. Go in the direction that might be the toughest, because that's where you'll find your success. That's where you'll find the best path for you. Choose growth. Choose evolving instead of stagnating, okay? Same thing too, like if some of you were on a situation where maybe the decision that you are facing is you chose something, you thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then you realized it wasn't. And then at the same time, though, you're like, well, I don't want to go back on my decision because then I would feel foolish or I'd feel like people would judge me. Choose change. Choose growth. Okay? If you know that the path you're on right now is not serving you, it is never foolish to walk away, to walk back to what you had. Okay? And two, in general, like, I think a lot of your life lessons, both in this past life as well as this one, and probably many lives between pile 3, as we, things kind of repeat themselves, they're like echoes, have been always being on the cusp of things. I almost wonder, too, if some of you, and I know this sounds unrelated, and it kind of is, but if some of you are really attuned to the other side, I want to say, like, mediumship type abilities, because that's also something that kind of makes me think of being stuck in both worlds. Like, you have an ear for, of course, the physical here, being a manifested human physically, but you also have an ear for the other side, the spiritual side of the world, okay? And so that's where your power lies, is don't even think of it as I'm indecisive. Think about it as I'm someone who sees both sides of an issue. I'm someone that can walk and find the middle path. Someone who can choose compromise, who can encourage compromise in others too. Because that is a really, really great strength, pile 3. That is a really good strength. There are a lot of people that choose all or nothing. A lot of people that choose just one because they don't believe in themselves to choose in both. And this is what Spirit is saying, is that you have the strength and the power to choose both. You have the strength and the power and the skill to be all of what you're seeking. It's almost like the imagery they're showing me is like trying to hide the sun in a jar. It's like it's just too small of a space for all of the power and the warmth and the light that's within. So don't be afraid to expand your horizons. Don't be afraid to expand your goals. Don't be afraid to choose growth and going way beyond where you've gone before. Because there's a lot more to you that needs to shine out. That's part of your life lesson now. Okay? Don't hold yourself back. Very cool. So, interesting reading, pile 3. I'm not saying too much more about this past life, but, maybe some of you, if you are really attuned to the other side, you already kind of delved into past lives and you kind of recognize that, in which case, let me know down in the comments below if you do, and you're like, tell me more details, I'm curious, if you recognize this particular past life, but walk the middle path. If you walk away, anything with this reading from is walk the middle path. All right? Sometimes it's okay to choose both and not one or the other. It's okay to walk into worlds at once. Choose growth. Okay, so that's your reading for today, pile 3. If you liked it, if it resonated, if it helped you, please like the video itself. Please comment down below. Please subscribe to Lone Pine Tarot if you have not done so yet. It's just a little button click away for you that helps me immeasurably with creating more readings for both you and others in the future. And as is our tradition on the channel, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile 3.